What's up, guys? Neil Orfield here, taking a look at Stokastic's MLB DFS Lineup Generator for tonight's slate. While you're coming in, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. Of course, if you have not yet signed up for the Lineup Generator, you can still get it for 50% off your first week using the link in the description of this video on YouTube, or if you're on Twitter, it's just in my tweet. You're going to get the Lineup Generator for just $4.48 for your first week if you use that link. Still just going to be $8.95 for subsequent weeks. Still a great deal for a tool that is only giving you long-term profitable lineups. All right, let's take a look first at some DraftKings lineups. Going to do all stack types, all lineup types. We should get a mix of chalky, balance, and contrarian lineups. Not going to lock anybody in. All right, first lineup we get here. We have Cutter Crawford and Yusei Kikuchi as the pitchers. We have a 5-man Red Sox stack with a 3-man Yankees secondary stack. Kind of middling in terms of chalkiness versus contrarian. Let's take a look in the top pitchers tool to start at Cutter Crawford and Yusei Kikuchi. All right, a little bit lower on the board here. We have Cutter Crawford and Yusei Kikuchi, both, top quarter here or so, but not really top of the board. Kikuchi and Crawford both have about a 12% chance of being a top 2 pitcher here, both relatively inexpensive. And then the stacks, we have the Red Sox and the Yankees. Red Sox second on the board with a 9% chance of being the top stack. Yankees fifth on the board with an 8% chance of being the top stack. Of course, we also have a little bit of added correlation here with Cutter Crawford and the 5-man Red Sox stack. Crawford a little bit more likely to get that win bonus if the Red Sox stack goes off. Looks like a really nice lineup overall. A couple more contrarian pieces bringing down the ownership, with the pitchers both being relatively low owned as far as pitchers go. And then we've got DJ LeMahieu at 6% ownership. Everybody else, all the other bats in the double digits, but not by a whole lot. Justin Turner just at 10%. Connor Wong at 10%. So overall, not an extremely contrarian lineup, not extremely chalky either, kind of middle of the board, but looks like a nice lineup overall. Let's save that one. Second lineup, we once again get the Red Sox, this time a 4-4 stack with the Rangers. Now we have Clark Schmidt and Max Scherzer as the pitchers. Scherzer now has that correlation with this Rangers 4-man stack. Let's take a look at Schmidt and Scherzer in the top pitchers tool. Scherzer top of the board with a 29% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. Schmidt kind of more middling, still upper half, but just barely 10% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. And then the Rangers here, right, it's the Rangers and the Red Sox. So still Red Sox, again, second on the board. Rangers look like they are 7th on the board with a 5% chance of being the top stack. Nice looking lineup here. A little bit different than the last one, being a 4-4 lineup. Again, kind of middling in terms of chalkiness versus contrarian. All right, I'm going to save that one. Now this one, a more contrarian lineup, jumping up with the Brewers as the primary stack. Red Sox 2-man secondary stack, and then we've got Tanner Bybee and Wade Miley as the pitchers. Let's take a look real quick at this one, and then I'll just go through the rest of the 20. Bybee and Wade Miley. Bybee 4th on the board with a 12% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. Wade Miley a little bit lower at an 11% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. And then this one we have the Brewers stack in there as the primary stack. The Brewers are 6th on the board with a 5% chance of being the top stack. Interesting looking contrarian lineup here. Still projects really well. All right, let's go through and just save 20 lineups, see what our exposures look like. Looks like we're into a lot of Red Sox. All right, after 20 lineups, Red Sox kind of went down the board as we made more lineups. Max Scherzer, our highest exposed player. Yankees kind of jumped up the board. Aaron Judge, 55%. Anthony Volpe and Jake Bauers up there as well. And then William Contreras, 50% ownership in this 20 lineup set. Overall, pretty comfortable with this. I'd probably want a little bit less than 60% Max Scherzer. Just not totally comfortable with Scherzer. I guess it's a nice enough matchup. But then Judge, 55%. I'd probably be pretty comfortable with this. This isn't too condensed for a 20 lineup set. I wouldn't want this kind of exposure in a 150 lineup set. 55% to one player is a bit much, but in 20 lineups, I'm pretty comfortable being condensed to about 55% Judge, William Contreras. Those are the types of players that I want if I'm going to be playing this much of any player. All right, I'm going to go through. I'm going to take a look at some FanDuel lineups now. all stack types, all lineup types, skipping, not locking anybody. All right, Clark Schmidt is the pitcher in this first one. Clark Schmidt, a 5% chance of being the top pitcher on FanDuel at just 7,200. And then we had a 4-man Braves with it's a 4-2-2 with Braves, followed by a Brewers and Red Sox. Taking a look at the top stacks tool. Braves top of the board, 12% chance of being the top stack, at just 7% ownership, looking pretty good on FanDuel. Red Sox, the second, number 2 overall in top stack odds, 9% chance. And then the Brewers, a 6% chance of being the top stack. All right, I'm going to save this one. Look at one more. All right, so now we have Cutter Crawford as the pitcher. Crawford with a 5% chance of being the top pitcher on FanDuel. Then we had another 4-man Braves stack. It's a 4-3 Braves Brewers stack. So some of the same stacks that we saw last time with the Braves and the Brewers, 2 of our higher stacks in terms of top stack odds. And this one not actually getting a ton of ownership. On the contrarian end of the spectrum, we have even within the Braves, we've got 2% owned Marcell Ozuna, 6% owned Austin Riley. Braves really not getting that much ownership for a stack that looks as good as it does. And then, of course, 5% on Cutter Crawford, bringing down the ownership a bit as well. All right, I'm going to just go through and save 20 lineups, see what our exposures look like. All right, after 20 lineups, we have 80% Max Scherzer, 50% Devers, 45% Duran, 45% Yoshida. Man, that is a lot of Max Scherzer on a one-pitcher site. He's only got a 10% chance of being the top pitcher. I think I would go back and cut back on some Max Scherzer. Now, obviously, the floor feels pretty good here. Of course, after seeing Spencer Strider get blown up by the Pirates yesterday, you can't feel too comfortable about the floor of anybody. But Max Scherzer, he's also not Spencer Strider at this point in his career. I'm not comfortable with that much Max Scherzer. I would go back and cut it back to about 50% Max Scherzer probably. So I would just go back and discard some of my Scherzer lineups to try to spread out my pitcher ownership a little bit, because 80% is just a little bit too much for me. Matchup great against Oakland. Scherzer obviously still a very good pitcher, but 80% feels like a bit much for me on a slate this size. So I'd probably cut that back to 50%. Otherwise, if I'm getting 50% Devers, I think I'm comfortable with the exposure to all of these bats. So that would be my approach on FanDuel. Just get rid of some of that Scherzer exposure. Probably the best way is to go back and find some contrarian lineups, would be my suggestion. All right, that is going to do it for this video. Again, if you haven't done so, please do like the video. It helps us out quite a bit when you do so. Thanks for watching, and good luck tonight.